What's up, guys? It's Zero here, bringing you all a podcast, which I'm super excited about. This one, guys. We've got a new show that we're launching on WereANML, The Dark Zone, which I'm joined by buddy, good friend now. I'm super excited about this. This is Jeff. Jeff, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? How's it going? I'm very glad to be here on the first episode.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited about it too. We're coming to you guys from Zero Dark. Is that what came up when you came up with the Dark Zone? Is that what?
Yeah, it was just like it was just like a in the moment type thing. It was just like, well, it makes sense because we're recording here.
Yeah.
And it just fits.
Yeah.
It's a nice name that just like rolls off the tongue really well. It's memorable. It fits the place. It sets in stone like what you do here.
Yeah. No, I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Yeah. So, guys, for those of you who don't know, Zero Dark is South Carolina's home for gaming, esports, photography, videography, and entertainment. And we're going to be coming like with a number of shows out of the space. Obviously we just opened this place about a month ago. Planning on doing, like I said, a lot of shows on Animal. We already shot the Animal podcast, first episode of that. This is our first episode of the Dark Zone. I'm excited about this because this is going to be a show, guys, where we're talking about, everything in the world of gaming and give you guys some insight into what it all means. Jeff is super knowledgeable of like so many. I mean, we talked, for hours the other day.
Yeah.
Like
that's what sparked this whole idea. Is just us bull crapping for like 4 hours.
Yeah, nerding out about games and stuff. And so we've got a number of games that we're going to be talking about here, and like I said, giving you guys some insight into what it all means. I think it's important, like, to talk about the future of games. Talk about the current state of gaming, the current state of esports, things of that nature I think are so important. But before we really get into it, Jeff, like a lot of my audience on my YouTube channel, on Animal, they know about me and kind of like what I'm about and where I come from and everything else. Before we really got started, I wanted to like kind of, pass like the, give you the floor in terms of like, who are you? Like, where do you, are you from the area? We're obviously in South Carolina, guys. And like, I guess like, who are you today in relation to like, growing up and everything?
So yeah, well, for me, video games have always just been not really an escape, but more of just like entertainment as a whole. I used to live in not New York City, but like New York State, called a little town called Newburgh. Very nice, quiet place, but the problem is it's boring as sin. There's not much to do besides if you're under 18 and you don't have a driver's license. So my day lit up on Christmas when my folks got me a brand new PlayStation 2. It's one of the very first consoles I ever got, and that's what like really just spread out the name, just gaming as more of a hobby than just entertainment.
Yeah.
And I've always been like more of the handheld system, more of the handheld style, more like DS, Game Boy. DS was like my first console. I still play Pokemon games to this day. It's just fun. That's always what it's been for me. It's just fun. And also nowadays that I got my buddies that I call brothers. I would never have met those guys if I never picked up a console controller ever. Gaming in general is just a good way for people to connect, that people you would never have met in your normal life.
Yeah.
According to like the traditional way of meeting people.
Yeah, that's super powerful, man. I believe I believe in that so much. I mean, I have a number of guys who I've been close with that I've never met in real life, right? Yeah. That I've been close with on, playing Xbox or even PlayStation. There is a bond with the gaming community. Yeah. And you can feel it. I mean, you don't have to necessarily go to conventions to feel it. You can feel it.
It's like a brotherhood. Yeah. That's what I've always felt with it. Like, it's just something special and something unique that I get. Not a lot of people understand that, but gaming can bring together so many people. It's ridiculous how much you can rally people around gaming. It's bonkers to me. Like, I've seen a bunch of like Twitch streamers do charity streams or number of different things, just the way gaming has brought people together off certain things.
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
No, I agree, 100%. I think gaming
And it's
it's
only getting better.
oh, it is. It's oh, dude. It's only the ceiling for gaming. I mean, it could be limitless.
Oh yeah.
I really attribute gaming to keeping me out of trouble in a
Oh yeah.
lot of situations.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
like instead of going out and partying constantly. And don't get me wrong, I like my party culture, but at the same time, it kept me grounded in a way where it's like you know what, I'm not going to go out, I'm going to grind some Call of Duty, create some content, or I'm going to
Yeah.
grind gears or whatever I wanted to do. And for me it was always about trying to create content, create shit.
Yeah.
And for you, did you create any content or?
Well, I do have a Twitch stream that I've been trying to get to, like, constantly get a nice stable system on. I'm able to stream on console, which is amazing, so I don't have to like spend really a lot of money on a nice computer that can both stream and play games on it. I can just stream straight from my console, which I think is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember back in the day, like the early 2010s, like people had to like hook up recording software straight to the console, and not always it would work, and sometimes you just fry your console.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. That's yeah. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear though, man. Like, and I could just tell from your passion about gaming and stuff, just how much like gaming's impacted you as a person.
Oh yeah, I would not be the same if I never picked up a controller.
Yeah.
Or I never picked up anything.
And that was part of the reason why I wanted to build Zero Dark was like, yo, like shit's changing, bro. Like gaming now, it's not like, yeah, people still, there's still people that look down on it like, oh, that's just for nerds and stuff. But no, dude, we're changing the narrative. And I love this. Like it's for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the kids that come into Zero Dark, they're shy, they're reserved, but all it takes is like, yo,
get them playing a couple games and they'll just open right up.
Right. And it's like, yo, Jeff, this is Jacob. Jacob, this is Jeff. And all it takes is like just a quick introduction.
Oh yeah.
Boom. You'll be nerding out, talking with them. You become best friends that way.
That's exactly what happened to a buddy of mine at work. I'm going to keep his name innocent, but this guy was a very quiet guy. Didn't really talk much. He just did his job. But man, once you start having him talk about video games, like he was open like a book.
Yeah, oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous and it's amazing at the same time. Like it's so baffling watching people like open up to something that they would never normally do to just a random stranger on the internet.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous and it's amazing.
Yeah. So this podcast, guys, the Dark Zone was, I mean, this was really inspired by like, Jeff came in one night into Zero Dark and we just started talking for hours about a multitude of different games. And I think what's cool is like, we just felt like, man, we're speaking the same language. Yeah, like we're on the same, like in terms of, it's interesting
it's like
because
two
it's
peas in a pod type situation. Yeah. It's
because
just like, I've never clicked that fast with somebody because I think we just think so similar.
Yeah, I think so too. And and a lot of times when I have a conversation with somebody about gaming, I feel like I'm always the smartest person in the room. But then when I'm talking to you, I'm like,
we're on the same level.
This dude knows just as much, if not more, about like lore and things of that nature with games. And so anyways, I'm super excited about this podcast. And guys, we'll probably, in the future, maybe we'll bring on some guests onto the show and get like different opinions and stuff. So this will be a ever evolving ordeal, but I want to start because Jeff, one of the things that really kicked off our conversation when you first came in is about we were talking about one of the greatest games that I've played in recent memory. I would definitely at this point put it on my list as one of the greatest games of all time. And the future of it is something that I'm super excited about. And it had one of the biggest, most anticipated moments to like one of the biggest falls from grace to one of the greatest rises we've ever seen once again in the form of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that game is truly something special. As I said to you yesterday, man, I put in the time and the heart and dedication into it when it first launched during that really rough month of when it first came out. And even then, when it was such a mess and it still felt amazing. Like the story was great. I loved all the characters. I cannot remember a single character that I didn't like.
Mhm.
except for maybe some like people who were designed to be hated.
Yeah.
But like most of the characters, they're all great. The story, the weapons, they all just looked unique and they felt different to what I was usually playing at the time.
And CD Projekt Red, man, they I mean, you know, we were talking about how they pivoted in
They
a
didn't give up.
moment. They did not.
They did not give up
they
on it.
showed they believed in this product, and so that's why, you know, I believe I'm so like behind CD Projekt Red at this point,
Oh, yeah.
because man, they were taking so much flack for that release, you know, and for
I got nothing
Cyberpunk.
but the respect for those guys. They put in the heart and soul into that game, and it worked amazingly.
Yeah, and I think like when I think about it, I mean they do that with all their projects. They really do put everything they had, but they were pressured by investors to release the game early. For those of you guys who don't know this,
Fans
they were
too were not very happy about it either. I remember seeing on multiple forums saying, "What is CG Projekt Red doing, pushing back this game for another month? Are they even going to release something good?"
yeah, and then they release it. And it was super buggy, glitchy. I mean, there was all kinds of problems at launch. And they had two decisions really to make, or two choices in terms of what they wanted to do. The first one was abandon the game, and the second was to double down, you know, put their big boy pants on and go after it and fix the game. And they decided to fix the game. Well, really what they did was they canceled the multiplayer that they were working on.
Yeah.
And they focused all their resource and development
on the single player.
On that single player.
Not to mention they took the game off the stores for PlayStation and PC. It was only on Xbox when it first came out for like that first initial month, which I thought was a ballsy move on their part, because in my eyes, I was like, you guys are barely making it by. You guys got a lot to prove.
Yeah. But I mean, bro.
Oh, yeah. And don't even get me started on Phantom Liberty. This is even just without Phantom Liberty. The game is just amazing. And they just keep adding more.
Yeah.
And it just baffles me. Just like how much of a comeback this game made. You don't see that ever.
Do you think it's the greatest comeback ever?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the only one that we really brought up that could have been, you know, you could compare to it would have been No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, yeah.
And that was that Hello Games? Are they the ones who made that one?
I'm not so sure. I don't really follow No Man's Sky that
No
much.
Man's Sky.
Yeah.
But No Man's Sky had a very shaky launch. I think the biggest difference for me, though, was that Cyberpunk was so anticipated.
Oh, yeah.
Like No Man's Sky was kind of like, what is this? But like Cyberpunk, for those of you who don't remember, that game was, I mean, everybody was talking about Cyberpunk.
Everybody and their mother was talking about that.
The only thing I can really think of that could compare to the excitement and hype for Cyberpunk 2077 is probably GTA 6.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, GTA 6 is for sure.
No one shuts up about it.
No. But Cyberpunk at the time was like, dude, this is the game.
And they just kept releasing trailers. They kept giving snippets. They're like, say, hey, we're still working on this. And yes, we're going to make sure that this game is good. And they did.
Yeah. They made it. They made it right. They did an unbelievable job, and so now it leads us to the future. So now we've got Cyberpunk Orion.
Yeah.
They have a small team that is now working on Cyberpunk Orion. They had a bunch of developers that they moved over to Boston. They flew to Boston, a small team, to start working on Cyberpunk Orion. We'll get to The Witcher 4 here in a sec, but Cyberpunk Orion is going to be releasing, you know, allegedly at some point after The Witcher 4.
Makes sense. They want to focus more on The Witcher right now because that's what most people are hyped about right now.
Exactly. And so what do you think?
Plus, I cannot mention how much, because I have a buddy of mine who's a big Witcher fan, and he's always been saying like, man, now Cyberpunk's done. Where's The Witcher 4? When can I get it?
Yeah, and The Witcher 4 is going to, dude, that's going to,
I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be good.
Yeah. But with Cyberpunk, you know, where do you think they should go with this like, I mean, whether we're talking a continuation, are they going to go to a different time period or something, you know, like are they going to go to Taicho, like the moon planet? Like where are they? The thing is I'm trying to figure out like where would be the best place for them to put Cyberpunk Orion?
Well, you got a couple options. With a name like Orion, you could obviously either go to the moon, which is a good valid option, but you could also have it take place in that space station that was in one of the endings. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another option. You could either go there, or here's a curveball. Why not Tokyo? Because that's where Arasaka's headquarters is.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting That would be an interesting place to take for it to take place.
Do you think it should like pick up right where we left off, or do you think they should go in the past or slightly in the future?
Well, it's going to be hard because for the future at least, because no one knows what V did as far as canon, unless I don't know if it's in the comic books or whatever, whatnot. But if you do the past, it's going to be hard to have stuff line up with the future. So you could either do same time, different place, just not in Night City, or you can have it be past or future.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's so many different directions they could go with this. I mean, it's wild.
The options are limitless. They could do it anywhere.
Yeah, they really could.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question about that. Like, let's just say theoretically they go pretty much right after the ending of Cyberpunk 2077 and like Phantom Liberty and so on and so forth.
But with that question, it always basically boggles down to which ending happened.
Yeah.
From what?
Okay. Let me put this in context. Let's say, well, no matter which way you play it, is Jackie really dead?
Yes. No matter what, he is definitely.
So do you think that they are going to bring him back in some like capacity in the new one? I'm saying if they went directly as a direct continuation or direct sequel to 2077, like because they could like save his memory.
I mean, it is the future with extremely high tech, so I can always say it's plausible.
Yeah,
but with
it's
Jackie,
unlikely. We'll get like new. We'll most likely get like just new characters.
Most likely new characters.
Yeah.
Maybe with a couple hints from older characters, like maybe an aged up V or an aged up Victor, or maybe better. Here's a curveball: aged up Lucy.
Oh, dude.
Because that outfit that she was wearing in the end of Phantom Liberty, it looked like she was like some sort of mercenary, like V was. It felt like she was out on the job, and since she never left Night City, she would probably have to find out some way to make money.
Yeah.
She just looked like someone who's been on the streets for a while, as far as like someone who works.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think the reason why I'm bringing up Jackie is because he is one of the most talked about things. Like when you go on like the subreddits and stuff, it's like everybody's talking about Jackie. Is he dead? Is he not dead? And you know what I think? I fully trust CD Projekt Red to create some really like some new characters, whether they're talking future, present. Or past.
I mean, we saw that with Edgerunners.
100%.
Yeah. Those were completely new people besides David, because David had that drink in the afterlife.
Yeah.
That was the only character as far as I remember. I mean, I don't know fully, but it's the only one I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some other characters maybe talked about, like, I think Maine was at like one of the shards, because I remember seeing his name once or twice. I think. I don't know. I haven't played Cyberpunk in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Well, okay. So I want to preface this with like this kind of speaking about Cyberpunk Orion, we already kind of mentioned, the game's probably going to be coming out, guys, at some point after The Witcher 4, because they're going to, I mean, most of their resources going towards The Witcher 4, which we're going to talk about here in a sec.
Yeah.
Small team working on Cyberpunk, so I'm sure that they're definitely in the lab.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to bring multiplayer into Cyberpunk Orion?
Well, the thing is with multiplayer is, in my opinion, if a single player likes Cyberpunk, or like, for example, Dead Island, it works if you have 2 to 4 player co-op.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of games have forgotten nowadays, is that 2-player co-op is an option. You
think co-op in Cyberpunk Orion would be a better option than going like the full-blown multiplayer aspect?
100%. Because I've noticed that with a lot of multiplayer games, it usually what might kill the game. Because not only do you have to pay to run servers, but on the off chance the game dies for whatever reason it may be, now you've got a bunch of servers that you can't pay for, and you'll basically just either snip the multiplayer completely out, or just go straight into single player.
Yeah.
I think that's what I noticed. Another game that had that problem was Anthem. That was another game that was just I was really excited for. The only thing I'll say positive about it is the flying. You felt like Iron Man. It was smooth like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, co-op is, in my opinion, just a slept on like a slept on feature.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to agree with you. I mean, like co-op, the only thing I can think of with like a Cyberpunk multiplayer would be like a Cyberpunk Online, similar to like a GTA Online in a Cyberpunk world.
See, that could work too. I can totally see that working too, but it would have to be most likely third person.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Probably. Well, yeah.
I mean, Elder Scrolls Online
it's interesting
works.
because they have that mod in Cyberpunk 2077 that you can be in third person.
Yeah.
They do have that mod. So I don't know if... It's hard to say whether they would do it in first person or third person or give you the option. I don't know.
Elder Scrolls Online made it work.
They did.
Yeah. So it's a possibility.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, okay. So the last thing I want to bring up, this is, I was thinking, and I don't even know how I'm going to even answer this question, but let's go back to the release of Cyberpunk 2077. All right.
Okay.
Bear with me here.
No problem.
So let's say Cyberpunk 2077 releases to the world and doesn't have all the issues. It doesn't have any issues when it releases. And it's obviously, you can say as perfect as it can be, right?
It basically is what it is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, 100%.
Does it have the impact, and how does it change? Like, would it have the impact that it does now, or like, would it be much bigger at this point in time if it was, started off really good?
Well, with that, I would probably definitely say it would be massively bigger. If Cyberpunk released as it is now, back then, without a shadow of doubt, game of the year, without a shadow of a doubt, most likely having Cyberpunk quote unquote 2 on the way, probably directly either before or after The Witcher 4. And definitely it would be having probably another DLC on that onto it.
That's exactly how I was thinking about it too. I was like, because they would have, because it got a lot of people turned off when the game came out buggy and all of those things. People canceled their, obviously a lot of cancellations, things of that nature. And so I do agree with you. I think it would have been so much bigger because it would have won like Game of the Year.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
They would have had the online already. They could have been updating and figuring that whole element of the game out. They would have, probably more DLCs. So I'm with you. It would
definitely at least one more DLC as at this point. Because I know a lot of time. Because I know Phantom Lair took a minute.
Yeah,
but it was worth it. Without a shadow of doubt, worth it. It's gas. You got memorable characters, memorable voice actors. You got a John Wick reference. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Totally with you, man. We wouldn't have the story that we do, the narrative and the storylines with CD Projekt Red, like the greatest comeback of all time. We wouldn't have gotten that.
No.
But I mean, I agree with you. I think it would be absolutely huge at this point for sure. Okay, well, so that leads us into another CD Projekt Red title that's had a lot of mixed reactions. Yes. Yeah, a lot of backlash. The Witcher 4. What do you think about The Witcher 4? As this game is, it's hard to say how far out we are from this game coming out, but what do you think early?
So personally, I haven't played the other two Witcher games. I've played Witcher 3 a little bit, not fully, because I think another game came out that I wanted to play at the time, but I can tell that, for one, Witcher 3 is gas, without a shadow of a doubt, even though for like the short time that I played it is good. When I saw that trailer, and once I did some digging into the lore and all that type of stuff, because if I find a game interesting, I'm just going to dig into the lore. It's how I love it. It's just how I love games. And it really did feel like that if there was going to be a Witcher 4, it would be set up for Ciri to be the main character. I just think that was I think it feels like it's served to her on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And personally, one of the things I noticed that people were complaining about is how she looks. Why do you care? She's a monster hunter. She's not supposed to look all pretty princess.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think that The Witcher 4, I mean, I'll just say it, dude. I think it looks absolutely incredible from
that
the
first trailer.
Teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I compare it to like Gears of War. So like Gears, I mean, they're two totally different games, but like I look at Gears of War, they had the original trilogy that you had the main protagonist, that being Marcus Phoenix. And then he passed his torch you know, to his son JD Phoenix. Now that we had one game or two games in between, we had like Gears of War Judgment, and then we had Gears of War Ultimate Edition. But he ultimately passed the torch to his son.
Yeah, that's what
he
it
had
felt like.
3 games, right? He had 3 games. Geralt has had 3 games, and now he's passing the torch. I feel sometimes if you stick with one character too long, it's almost like they overstay their welcome, and you get to follow these storylines, which is really cool too.
Yeah.
And Geralt is still here.
Yes.
He's going to be like probably a side character, a mentor to Ciri.
Or better yet, it can set up for a DLC where you play as Geralt.
Yeah.
Because I know The Witcher 3 had like what 4 or 5 DLCs.
Yeah, it had a number.
I think
of DLCs.
I know minimum 3, but that just sets it up for people who like to play Geralt but also like Ciri. So it gives them an option saying, "Hey, I don't see it. I can see it definitely happening." 100%.
And I'm with you. I think Ciri looks like a badass.
Oh,
I mean, dude,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I want to play as her. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like I'm and the backlash that people are giving CD Projekt Red and just like Ciri in general. You're right, dude. I mean, it's like, oh, she's supposed to look perfect. It's like, dude, she's a
monster
witcher.
hunter.
She's a monster hunter. Like,
Yeah.
how is she supposed to look? I mean, dude, that did not make any sense to me.
No, it didn't.
That backlash with that, it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah,
dude.
it just never made sense to me. I never saw why people got that mad about it. For one, it's the first trailer of a game that's supposed to come out next year, early next year.
I mean, yeah.
Or was it even announced?
It's not even. I don't even think it's announced yet.
Yeah.
Is
So
it?
there's not to mention there's options. There's plenty of time. If, in my opinion, like I said, she doesn't look bad. If there is a problem, they could fix it. There's still time.
Yeah.
It's not like the game came out yesterday.
And I'll be totally real with you. I think that more games should do what they're doing with The Witcher, like from the perspective of you got a few games with your main protagonist and then they move on to a new, character. Like, I'll give you an example. Uncharted, one of my favorite PlayStation games of all time.
Yep.
The Uncharted, they had 4 games with Nathan Drake, right? You had The Lost Legacy, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but what I'm getting at is at the end, spoiler alert, at the end of Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, it's almost like he's kind of like retiring from
With a name like
treasure,
that, yeah.
treasure hunting.
Figure much with a name like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But what they could do is he could pass the torch to his daughter. I think her name's Chloe. He could pass the torch to her, like say, in Uncharted 5 or whatever, they say, 20 years later after A Thief's End, and she's now a treasure hunter and he's a side character. I just think I think if you were to continue with Nathan Drake, it would almost be like he was just too much, right? Yeah. And so I actually think that more games should do that. Like, and even I think a lot of people are afraid of, and even developers are afraid of change. Like people aren't going to.
I have noticed that with a lot of games nowadays. It's just like some people are just too scared of change that it might not work. A prime example of change that works is God of War.
Yeah.
That is a prime example of when change works.
Dude, it was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
That's Sony Santa Monica?
Yeah, I believe so.
Bro, they crushed it.
Cooked with God of War, both games.
Dude, they were slapping.
I will say this, the first one that came out was the only game in a minute up until Elden Ring came out that I actually played through multiple times on New Game Plus. I played through it, I think, every single difficulty.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. You're saying the God of War reboot, or
I think 2016 is when the first one came out. When he's got Atreus as a kid.
Yeah.
That first one.
Wait, haven't they only made 2?
They've made 2. They've made God of War and God of War Ragnarok.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Ragnarok, but I didn't have that drive to play through it multiple times.
Yeah.
Until like the what's the one deals? The one I'm trying to think of the One Realm.
Oh shit. Yeah. Oh, you're talking the DLC in Ragnarok?
The free DLC that like it was just basically add-on content that they just added onto the game.
Yeah, I forget what that was called. I didn't play it. It's on PlayStation Premium Plus now. I started playing. I started playing through
Valhalla. That's the realm I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the realm I'm thinking of. Because I remember a sequence where Kratos is arguing, not really arguing, more just telling Freya like I was invited here. Not to mention that game has one of the hardest lines ever made. death can have me when it earns me. That's just so cold.
Oh, dude, that
fits Kratos so much.
That's such a good line, bro.
It's such a good line.
Oh shit,
I love it.
But I even, and we're talking about like that, the passing of the torch. I think it also can be somewhat done too quickly, like
Yes.
Gears of War. JD Phoenix is in Gears 4, and then you have Gears 5. It's like he passes the torch to Kate Diaz, and it's like, wait, why? And they almost made JD's character seem like an asshole or something in Gears 5. And I just didn't like, it's like, yo, like we should have been with JD for another couple games. Then you pass it to Kate Diaz. I get what they were trying to do.
I think he should have at least gotten one more game.
Yeah, at least, dude.
At least to explain why he was such a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And then they, the semi-open world. So anyways, what I'm getting at is that I feel that it's a gift and a curse. Like if you do it right, 3, maybe they stretched a little bit far with 4 games in Uncharted, but like if you have 3 games and you pass the torch, dude, and you do it right, dude, I'm all in. So I'm all in with The Witcher 4, dude. I think it's gonna absolutely, I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really early to say, oh, game of the year, but like,
With GTA 6 coming out, I don't think so.
But GTA 6 though is coming out this year.
Yes.
The Witcher 4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So The Witcher 4 would be.
It has competition then. I'll say that much. If whatever comes out next year with The Witcher 4, they got competition.
Huge competition.
Another game series that you brought up about I'm thinking about when you said passing the torch was probably like the next Resident Evil game. The new Resident Evil game.
Oh,
the one that take like the possible next game that takes after Village, which I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but still.
Dude, they got to, bro. I mean,
Village
I think
was such a hit.
It was, and I my personal favorite was Biohazard. I thought it was terrifying, dude.
Oh yeah, that's what I felt when I first played, especially since it was such like a shift from like the old.
Such a shift, dude.
First of all,
I was like, is this really Resident Evil?
Switching to first person was such like a banger move to make a game actually scary.
It was crazy. I mean, I loved Village for what it was.
Oh, dude. Village was great.
Village was awesome.
Yeah, there was one instance of Village that I tried to speed through as much as possible because it bugged me to this day.
Wait, which part?
The dollhouse.
Oh yeah.
The dollhouse and then that baby.
Dude, it did have some creepy stuff.
There was a lot of creepy stuff.
I mean, I thought Biohazard was like, I was like, dude, this doesn't. It was like, is this really Resident Evil? And then like at the end, wasn't it? Chris Redfield showed up.
Chris.
Yeah, bro.
I love Chris how he looks now. He looks grizzled. He looks like he's seen some shit.
He's seen some shit, bro.
Yeah.
No, I dude, Resident Evil is another franchise. I mean, I don't. What do you think of the remakes? I've been a little bit like, I like they're okay. Like I love the graphics, obviously, but I don't know. There's something about the remakes I'm not maybe as sold on as some people.
So what the way I looked at it is because when I played through Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 2 originally, that was like one of my first horror/zombie games ever, and I loved it. The camera angle at first kind of bugged me, but it gives with the remakes. And the one thing I've noticed is attention to detail, because it's like a completely different generation of graphics, which is good in my opinion because I'm a graphics whore. I love that stuff.
Yeah,
I love a game looks good, and it gives them an opportunity to either try to rope some stuff in that couldn't be roped in before, not to mention just give new life to these old characters.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a lot more detail, a lot more personality, a lot more just overall depth as a game and as characters.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, is what like 90% of Resident Evil is. It's about the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. No, I'm excited to see what the future is with that franchise. There's absolutely no doubt.
Capcom hasn't missed in a minute.
No. Capcom has been
on the grind.
They're on the grind, and we're gonna get to that very exciting game that you're excited about, and what that could mean for the future. Capcom is doing the exact opposite of Ubisoft currently. They are slapping. I mean, Capcom has been crushing it. Ubisoft has been struggling a little bit. I believe that Ubisoft can get their shit together.
I think they can too. They have one more chance, in my opinion, with the Assassin's Creed remake that I've heard rumors about.
Yeah.
you don't mess with Black Flag, so don't screw this up. That's all I gotta
Yeah,
say.
I know. And well, there was even they announced that Splinter Cell remake back in like 2021 or something. Did
That
you
would be
see this?
that would be. I haven't heard anything about that. That would be gas because I was
Oh,
talking to
bro,
my buddy a couple days
100%.
ago saying, "Hey, we need another Splinter Cell." Stealth games are underrated in my opinion. I think though,
Oh,
I think they're just so much fun.
dude, 100%. And you know how like it feels like the direction they've gone with Assassin's Creed, where it's really not like it's like a lot more action over
RPG.
stealth.
It's more of an RPG than
Yeah, they've changed it so much over the years, and
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could really go down the rabbit hole with that, but like I'm with you. I think you've got like Hitman,
Mhm.
but Splinter Cell is like, dude,
it's
bro,
iconic.
please bring Sam back. And I mean, I
Yeah.
would be down like if they eventually decided, yo, we're gonna make a new continuation of Splinter Cell, but Sam's not the main character. Once again, we're talking about like passing the torch. He really hasn't had that chance because it's like the last one was what, Blacklist?
Yeah,
I think.
I think Blacklist.
But dude, like my favorite ones
I know
like
that-
Double Agent and like
yeah, Double Agent, man.
Pandora Tomorrow,
Oh,
bro. Dude, those were so
But not
good.
to mention, they've been using Sam as like features in a lot of their games recently. Like Ghost Recon Wildlands, there's a mention of Sam.
Wasn't he in Rainbow Six too?
He is in Rainbow Six.
Yeah, yeah.
He's Zero.
Yeah.
It was one of the only reasons why I hopped back on that game was to play as Sam Fisher. And he's a good character in that game. He's got a pretty good kit. He's got a pretty good gadget. And it's just overall a fun character that they added in. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Rainbow Six needed at the time to bring more people in.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I agree. So yeah, there's so many games that I mean, Ubisoft has a lot of IPs that they could really pull from.
That's why I was disappointed about that shooter that got canceled, man. I was disappointed.
X Defiant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And I mean, obviously now it's like you got like Splinter Cell, and yet you guys were, Watch Dogs took some really, it's just
yeah.
another one that I loved the first two. Legion, I was so excited about, and it's like, I feel like they should have.
Legion as a concept sounds cool on paper.
Sounds cool, right?
But as executed, you don't feel attached to the characters in Legion, in my opinion, because you're constantly switching between just random people on the street.
Right.
You feel unless you can, I guess you can be attached to like the movement that you're trying to push.
Yeah.
But it just there's nothing to grab onto.
And you know what, dude? It's like even at that launch, it had a lot of like issues at launch.
Most games do at launch. Like they usually, because players will always find something that's broken.
Right. Yeah.
It's guaranteed. So usually, whenever a game comes out at first, I always wait a couple days before I start casting judgment. I'll give it especially if it's a game I'm excited about. I'll give the game a benefit of the doubt because I know that if the company is smart, they'll fix these problems.
Yep. 100%. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. That
leads me into a franchise that I've really enjoyed over the course of time. I believe it's very underrated. It's another game created by Take-Two Interactive. Obviously, we've got Rockstar working on GTA, but Mafia, The Old Country, is going to be coming out this year, which is I'm really excited about. I'm not a huge fan of the name, but regardless, the game looks. I think it looks really good. I mean, especially from a graphical perspective. And did you play Mafia the Definitive Edition? It was like the remaster of like the first two.
I believe I did when I started playing through 3. After I was finished with that, I was like, okay, oh look, the Definitive Edition. It's for Mafia games that I haven't played yet. So I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. It was on sale. So I was like, why not?
Yeah. So what do you like? What do you think of Mafia versus like GTA? Because they're both coming from obviously different studios, but you've got the same umbrella that is Take-Two.
Well, if I would like to also rope in another game that has the similar thing as Saints Row.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, for those 3 games in particular, Mafia feels more refined, more like the best way to describe it is a smooth blade that took a while to forge is the best way to describe it.
Bro, that is the greatest analogy ever. Okay, yeah, continue.
When you have the chaos that is Saints Row, especially both 3 and 4. I didn't play the Vegas one or whatever it was called. I forget. It was just called Saints Row, I believe.
Wasn't one of them like Gat Out of Hell or something?
Yes, that was the DLC for number 4, where you literally go into hell. To
that was the DLC.
That was DLC for 4.
Holy shit, dude!
Yeah, it was gnarly. But yeah, it's just whenever you play Saints Row, you're expecting chaos. You're expecting just the goofy shit like you wouldn't expect to see in a Mafia game. Like you don't expect to get curve stomp by a guy wearing a duck costume. That's Saints Row.
Yeah.
And then you got GTA, who is kind of like a mix of both, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You got GTA Online is chaos. It is beyond chaos. You got people dropping orbital strikes from like halfway across the map.
Yeah.
But then you also got the seriousness and the refinement that is like a heist, or even the story of GTA 5 is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's so well done, and especially since it's new characters, which I've noticed what GTA does in general. For every time they make a new game, they give us a new set of characters.
Yeah.
While also giving references to old ones. I believe in one of the story missions, Lester talks about the protagonist from Liberty City, and like one of the heists when you're like driving, like just making small talk.
Yeah.
Not to mention the characters themselves, memorable. Everyone remembers Trevor, obviously.
Yep.
Everyone remembers Michael. Everyone remembers Franklin, Lamar, Chop, everybody. Like you just like Laszlo, even like some small characters like Laszlo, the agents, the FIB people. Like you know them.
Yeah.
As soon as you look at them.
You know what's crazy? This is a crazy little like side note about one of the characters. I actually know Tracy in real life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sure. Her mom actually works for my dad up in Ohio, and yeah, McCall. She's awesome. I've got multiple pictures with her. She actually looks pretty similar like she does on the video game. But the characters, I got to agree with you, bro. They definitely very memorable.
Not to mention the memes, especially about Franklin and Lamar.
Dude, yeah,
it's just funny.
It's been so good for sure.
The memes are so iconic they made a real life version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, GTA, and dude, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with GTA 6.
Yeah.
Mafia, though, I've always felt like it was kind of like, it had so much potential to be so much bigger than what it is, just because it's kind of felt like little brother, to GTA, which is obviously a juggernaut. You just can't compete with it. But I feel like, I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial for sure for some people, but I've said it on my YouTube channel before. I've never said it on the Animal channel, but at least for me, just me personally, when we talk about like Mafia and GTA, I do agree with you that like the characters are like probably more memorable from like a game to game basis. Like a lot of the characters I don't remember from like GTA 3 or from like Vice City. Do remember some of the characters from
San Andreas.
I was going to say GTA 4,
but yeah,
and then 5, but yeah, San Andreas. Mafia, though, to me, I've gotten more, I feel like I get more immersed into that story. I don't know if it's the time period or what it is. I think personally, I like the story of Mafia more than GTA.
Yes, I actually agree with you on that part.
I really like it more. The difference, though, is that as a package deal, GTA has Mafia by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've always thought, why don't they do like we were talking about Cyberpunk Online, Mafia Online? Like why can't we go be like rise the ranks of like in a crime family, and we're like, but make it more like not so over the top like they do in GTA Online.
I was about to say, because another difference between GTA and Mafia is that Mafia feels a lot more realistic as far as like I could believe this story happening in real life as like a Mafia person. However, in GTA, I don't see a lot of these people getting away with, considering how much like technology is nowadays. I don't see people getting away with the crap that happens in GTA.
Dude, 100%, no way.
But yeah, for Mafia, it just always felt a little bit more realistic than GTA.
It did. And I mean,
I think that's what the angle was, is like to separate the two games from each other. Because if they're too similar, people are always going to ask like, well, if they're basically the same game, why don't I just play this one instead?
Mhm.
They want to try to keep the game separate to have a more broader audience, in my opinion. I think that's probably why they haven't tried to do things similar in Mafia than in GTA.
And maybe Hangar 13 doesn't feel confident doing an online element like what Rockstar, obviously the team that they have working on like GTA Online and things of that nature. I don't know though. I'm like, dude, I just feel like it's untapped potential, like this online Mafia Empire-esque type style. I think it's an endless opportunity that is untapped at this point.
Well, there was a game similar called Empire of Sin.
Yeah, but wasn't that? Yeah. I played that, but wasn't that like? It's similar, but it's
like
kind of like
Civ.
Diablo.
It's like Civ, but Mafia.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the feeling I got from it. The problem with that game is that single player,
Right.
which I didn't like. I think it's single player and couch co-op, but
see, Mafia doesn't even have co-op, does it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure 3 did not have co-op.
Yeah, no, and the first 2 definitely didn't. And so I just I personally, just with the certain time periods, I wish that the time period for the old country was actually in like Vegas.
Doesn't it take place in Italy?
Is it Italy?
I'm pretty sure. With a name like that, you would think Italy.
Yeah, I think it. I wanted it to be in Vegas, but you know like that time period in Vegas, I think would have been really interesting. But regardless, I think it is like in Italy or somewhere internationally. But
you're gonna get brutality then, because I know the Mafia in Italy is just more brutal than anything in the U.S.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, they went pretty hard over there.
Yeah, so they expect like brutality.
Yeah, so but no, I'm really excited about that. I think GTA, I mean, I think we both can agree it's going to be the biggest game on the planet by a wide margin.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that even will have the balls at all to compete with it would be Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty is going to have to
step up their game.
Well, I think they're going to make a major change this year. I think they might go with like Advanced Warfare 2.
You see that new map that they made?
In what?
In Call of Duty, you see the new map?
Which one? Bullet?
The train, yeah.
Yeah, Bullet. Oh, dude, that
just looks like chaos.
It's wild. It's actually a pretty cool map though. But
I've seen
wild.
some play. I haven't played it personally because I don't play Call of Duty that much. But I've seen it, and I can see like as someone who's played a lot of Shipment, I can have a lot of fun with that. 100%.
Oh, dude, it really, it's an interesting map. But I think Call of Duty this year is going to have to go with like Advanced Warfare 2 or like some kind of jetpack to change it up. Borderlands 4 is supposedly coming out, I believe, like September 23rd of this year, which means they're saying that GTA 6 is sticking to fall 2025, which means that if Borderlands 4 is coming out in September, more than likely GTA is going to come out in October, which would mean that Call of Duty is not going to want to release in November because it is... If I'm Call of Duty, if I'm Xbox, I'm like, we want to stay ahead of this. So we're going to have to release this thing in like August or early September because you don't want to start competing with, I mean, even Borderlands. I mean, who knows if Borderlands 4 is solid, like they're not going to want to do that. And GTA, I mean, really, even Call of Duty needs to stay away.
Yeah, I think what Call of Duty needs to do right now is take a step back and wait because with GTA 6 coming around the corner, it's going to be a wave of just like everybody's going to be on that. Everybody and their mother's going to be on that. So in my opinion, I think Call of Duty should just wait a year and actually make a more refined product. I think that's what a lot of like AAA games are failing to notice nowadays is that the yearly release no longer works with the quality that people are expecting. And with Black Ops 6, the first month of Black Ops 6, I enjoyed so much. The zombies, gas. The multiplayer, hectic, but that's how it is. The story, I didn't play the story, but from one of my buddies who has, he said it was a lot of fun. It was very good. And then, in my opinion, the fall off was when the shop opened. It just, I've never been a big fan of like prioritizing microtransactions, but it makes sense for free games because they have to make some sort of money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But for Call of Duty, especially releasing on Game Pass, it just I don't know, especially since they just like go so hard into making the most ridiculous stuff possible.
I'm gonna say this, dude. Like, and I've said it for years. When it comes to microtransactions, like I believe in earnable items over payable items.
Yes, 100%.
Like,
yes.
because I remember in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and stuff, everybody, it was so coveted to get the 10th prestige medallion that people were creating modded and hacked lobbies in order to get it. And it was insane. And so there is something to be said, and we've lost it at this point. It like these earnable items. You can have the payable items, like, but don't make them as cool as the earnable shit.
So
that keeps you on the game.
One game that I know that did this perfectly was Sea of Thieves.
98, really?
Yeah, 90% of like the gear that you can get is earnable via achievements, via
just putting time
into the game. Especially some of the better ones that you cannot buy, the curses, you have to earn those, and it feels so satisfying when you earn those curses. They just make your character look so much better. My personal favorite is one that makes your heart and skeleton glow like magma. It just like it really emphasizes, okay, I can wear this jacket while showing off the curse. There's a gold one that has like chunks of gold appearing on your skin, inky eyes, and there's one that makes you into a skeleton.
Dude, that's sick.
I just think that it was so well done, and I was always wondering, why aren't more people doing this? Because it works, especially for like a big online game that is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
it's like
it's mind blowing. I mean, like Call of Duty, that's where they create, like, I mean, they just came out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab or whatever.
That's a cool collab, but
it's $90.
Yeah,
it's bullshit, dude. It's bullshit. I don't care what anybody says. Call of Duty has always been, I mean, one of my favorite games of all time.
The better,
man, dude, they just,
another way to justify like some of these like microtransaction purchasables is make in-game currency that's earnable.
Right.
That's what Overwatch does. Overwatch does have you can buy the currency straight up if you want to, but you can also just pay $5 or $10 for the battle pass, and you get like 1,000 coins. You can get a legendary skin that you want.
Yeah.
Out of that.
Dude, I'm with you, man. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but that's where I feel like Call of Duty
has just lost connection with players, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've definitely lost some connection for sure, and maybe they just don't care. They're just trying to like milk this cash cow.
Yeah.
But
that's the problem with most AAA games nowadays, is that just the people who fund the games, they don't play games.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. That's why I love indie games so much, because it's for one, it's a passion project. Two, you can tell like when someone is really passionate about something that they make and they just love it.
Yeah.
And you can feel like the heart and soul of a game. I know it's weird to say, but you can like feel it.
You can.
Like a prime example that like indie games that took off, FNAF. That's a big one. Undertale, another big indie game that just took off. Poppy's Playtime, another good horror game that took off. Just Balatro got nominated for Game of the Year. If that's not an indication of like people like indie games, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So anyways, if there's anybody over at Activision, anybody who's watching this that you know, makes any type or has any type of decision making over there, look, I'm not saying to take out microtransactions completely.
No, because you got to fund your games.
Yeah, more like earnable items greater than the payable ones.
Yes.
Just make the earnable shit really cool, because then I'm going to want to come back over and over again, not to pay, like spend my money, but I'm going to be on your game more.
Yeah.
Which ultimately then you have your battle pass. Then you have all your other options in terms of like.
See, the battle pass system works though, because at the end of the day, you're still earning for it. Even though you do pay, like you give that initial,
do pay for it up front. Yeah.
Yeah, you do give that initial pay. But 9 times out of 10, I know certain battle passes, they'll just give you the currency that you would get from paying for it.
Yeah.
So you can just keep paying for the next season over and over again. So I think Apex did that initially. Like for the first like couple seasons, you earned all the currency that you would able to buy the next season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
It is tough.
It really is. It's tough. But what's not tough is your excitement for Monster Hunter
Yes.
Wilds.
2 days, man. Oh man, I cannot wait for this
Talk to
game.
me. Talk to me about it. I never just someone outside looking in. I've dabbled in this universe. What is it about it that you're just super passionate about?
Okay, a number of things. One, everything is viable in Monster Hunter. That's one thing I've noticed with both World and Rise, the two previous games to Wilds, is that every weapon just felt viable. Even though they may do like smaller, there's obviously the best of the best weapon, but there also is, you don't need it to be good at the game. For example, like I know the number one weapon that's pretty broken is the longsword, which is basically just like a long katana. High crit damage, high raw damage. It's just cash money. But there's also the smaller weapons like hunting horn, the sword and shield that don't do a lot of damage but can do other things. Because in my opinion, it's just Monster Hunter can also bring people together because there are multiple weapons that can help out other people. For example, in early World, the sword and shield was the only weapon that you could block and use your slinger, which is like a wrist-mounted crossbow that could fire rocks, flash pods, stuff like that, or basically just like fire stuff to like cause certain effects to happen. Like one was like fire damage or can flinch a monster in a critical moment. It was just overall a good weapon to have. Hunting horn is the definition of a buff weapon. Not to mention nowadays they're buffing its damage, so now it's also very viable as a weapon. It can give healing, it can do attack boost, defense boost, status resistance, earplugs. There's just so much. The hunting horns has unlimited potential.
Wow.
And especially if you get like a group of people as a party of 4, like you can have one person buffing, one person doing raw DPS, one person do tank hits because there's multiple tanking weapons, aka lance, gun lance, greatsword. And then there's raw damage, longsword. Greatsword can also do raw damage. It feels like everything works well with each other. Not to mention the creatures themselves look amazing. I loved like I'm trying to think of the word. The diversity of each and every creature. Even though there's some creatures that are subspecies of other creatures, they also have their own unique flair. And then especially early game into late game, like you feel like these creatures are actually out there doing what they need to do to survive. And especially if you get into late game where you get some of like the really like powerful creatures called elder dragons, they are the guiding forward. They're just nature incarnate is the best way to describe it. There's some that control wind, some control fire. There's one of the fastest ones called Kieran, which is basically just an electric unicorn. It is fast, but is a glass cannon. And I am just beyond excited for Wilds. I think it's going to be an amazing game. I'm fully confident that it's going to be a nominee for Game of the Year. Just the amount of hype that's behind this. Not to mention, when the first beta came out, it was around the time when Black Ops 6 came out. There were more people on that beta than Black Ops 6.
No way. I didn't know that.
I know, and it blew my mind once I started looking at the numbers, like, this game's going to be good.
How did you like the beta?
Oh my God.
Was it really good?
It was so good. Even though there was only one area, it showed off what the game is basically how it's going to function. And the big difference between the other two that came out before is that you feel like you're always on the hunt. Is like, obviously there's quests that you can that you can go to a board and apply for and just go out hunt specific monsters. But if you just go out in the wild, in my opinion, I think that's better off for resources, because at the end of the day, you're trying to grind to get armor and weapons to hunt higher caliber creatures. So in my opinion, you're better off just staying in the field, going out and hunting things. Which is, there was a cool feature in World called the Guiding Lands, which was basically designed for that purpose. It's a big open area, layers upon layers, different biomes clashing together. There's like a desert, forest, lava, and ice area all combined into like this hodgepodge, that area that works. So you're expecting to hunt anything. Anything could be in the Guiding Lands. That's what I like about it. It's just like you can go out and hunt anything. So it's overall just I like, and not to mention when I was playing the beta, just the sheer vastness of the first area. It's amazing. It's massive. It's explorable. There's so much to do.
What do you think? I mean, I think we're both probably on the same page that this game is going to sell very well for Capcom. What do you think the ramifications could be of this game? Say it does really well. Obviously, you don't know necessarily like how the story's going to end or whatever. Do you think that this is going to continue to greenlight not only Monster Hunter games, but also what else do you think's in the pipeline for them? Like another Resident Evil? Do you think there's a DMC 6 coming? Like, you know, could that greenlight some of those things, or would it just maybe greenlight more of Monster Hunter games?
Well, I do think definitely greenlight more Monster Hunter games, because with World, the World was like, when World came out, like it was such like a new, it introduced Monster Hunters to so many different people than who have ever never played Monster Hunter before. I played a little bit when I was a kid. It was like the two games I played growing up were Pokemon and Monster Hunter. When World came out, I've never seen such like a vastness of new people coming in. Just, it was like a wave of new people who have never experienced Monster Hunter before to actually play it. And not to mention, it was just like such a welcoming to the new generation of not only monsters, but also people who play it.
Yeah.
Because like, for the longest time, Monster Hunter's always used their old PS2 graphics for simplicity, and not to mention for vastness of quantity. So they just kept adding new monsters while upping up the graphics just a little bit, adding new monsters, keeping relatively the same formula. But it was only when World came out is when they completely rebuilt the entire franchise from the ground up. They rebuilt all the monster skeletons. They rebuilt everything, all the graphics of the monsters themselves. They rebuilt it all. Like it was almost like an entirely new game.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the wave that World is. Not to mention, I think World is still the #1 most sold Capcom game out there.
Really?
I'm not positive, but I remember hearing at one point that World was like the #1 sold Capcom game.
That's sick, dude. Because I always thought it was Resident Evil.
Yeah, as a franchise as a whole, no doubt.
No, not as well. I thought it was like each like Resident Evil that's come out has like outsold the previous and stuff like that. But
oh yeah,
but Monster Hunter, you might be right actually.
I'm like I said, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty.
I'll have
sure.
to look that up. That's interesting. Yeah. No, look, dude, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to try it out as well because I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna be something special. It could be a really special title, and I think it could be really special for just the Monster Hunter fan base, but just Monster Hunter as a franchise altogether, and then whatever Capcom is working on behind the scenes. I mean. I've been definitely as a AAA, developer, man, I'm backing those guys. They've been crushing it.
They're like one of my favorite studios out there. Next to, well, there's one studio that I love with just because of I love their one game. It's Ark. I love that game to death. And Wildcard, they work hard on their stuff. I will admit they've been late on a lot of like their promises as far as like updates, new DLCs, all that stuff. They've always been late, but they've always worked hard to make sure it works.
You're talking for Ark
Survival Evolved, especially when Ark Survival Ascended came out. Like especially one thing that a lot of people thought would be bad for the game was premium mods. Now, modding, I'm pretty sure is when fans mod a game to add stuff in like just for fun. And it's always been free. With premium mods, not only what I thought at first was like, oh, not Capcom, that Wildcard's trying to take money from the people who make the mods. I was completely wrong, and I am so happy that I am wrong. From what I saw from their website that shows the step-by-step process of who gets paid for the premium mods is 50-50. Half of it goes to the creator, which is great. Then the other half gets split between the people who made the modding kit and Wildcard. So they're only receiving 25% of whatever that mod makes. but most of it's going to the person who made it, as it should.
Where's Arc 2?
Arc 2, so that game...
Vin Diesel.
Yes, I know. I don't know where Arc 2 as far as development is currently. I know they are working more on getting Ascension, Arc Survival Ascension, caught up, because I know they just announced that they have a new DLC planned for Arc Survival Ascension. They're more just trying to get Ascension to where Arc Survival was, as far as the maps, the creatures in it, making sure modding works, all that type of stuff. That's where I feel their headspace is right now.
And then they'll focus on
Arc 2
at some point.
Once I have feeling once Survival Ascended is done, I think that's when they're going to focus more. Don't get me wrong, I guarantee they have a team working on Arc 2, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, it would make the most sense, especially since it's going to be such a different game than what Arc Survival Ascended is, which I think is what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They wanted to try to differentiate Arc Survival Ascended from Arc 2. Because from what I hear, they're going to have like Dark Souls-like combat. That's like one of the things that they mentioned.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that was one of the things that they mentioned. I was like, okay, I'm curious, but hopeful.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Well, listen, guys, that's going to do it for our first episode of The Dark Zone. So, Jeff, how can people find you? I know you said you're kind of trying to build here on Twitch. What's your Twitch?
My Twitch is jthek0518. I usually will be streaming on Thursdays. I try to stream like either Dead by Daylight or Overwatch, or just if a single player game has my attention, I'll probably play that too. Most likely just horror games too. I played The Quarry. That's an amazing game. What's another one I'm trying to remember? The Quarry was one of the big ones. Oh, Casting of Frank Stone. That's another really good horror game. I recommend that to anybody.
Yeah.
Especially whoever's like a big Dead by Daylight nerd. I recommend the Casting of Frank Stone. But yeah, I'll probably be streaming definitely Thursday. I'll probably be streaming the new Monster Hunter game, because that comes out at midnight, but I'll probably be playing some Dead by Daylight.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're hoping, guys, to do these as much as possible, for sure. As long as like schedules and all that stuff works out. But yeah, definitely check out Jeff on Twitch, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Dark Zone. If you guys did, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, just keep grinding. And as always, I'll see you guys all in the next one.
Appreciate y'all watching.
Peace out, guys.